Yeah. It is time. You will not survive. Let's fucking do it.
What's up, everybody? This is the PlayStation Lifestyle Underground Podcast. We are an unofficial podcast of PlayStationLifestyle.net. I am Hugo Stiglitz. You can find me on PSN as Hugo Stiglitz _420, and Xbox Live is THNK4URSELF. And we got a new host on the podcast today. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Jordash7K. You can find me on PlayStation at Jordash7K.
Awesome.
And I'm still here. I'm Brian Mashala. You can find me on the comments and forums as Brian Mashala, and on PSN and Nintendo Network as CloudStrife768.
Awesome. So, yeah, lately, been playing a bunch of different stuff like usual. Finished Last of Us on Grounded mode a couple days ago. Finished Last of Us Left Behind on Grounded mode last night. And it made me rage towards the end because of the lack of checkpoints. Also been playing Shadow Warrior, the first one. Also, Crisis 1. Started playing that again. It's been a long time. On Vita, I've been playing God of War Chains of Olympus because, actually, over the weekend I finished God of War 3 Remastered as well. And, of course, racing games, random stuff. Also some prop hunt in Call of Duty 4, because I think they made it permanent finally, which I've been asking for since they first brought it in, because
They did.
it's the most fun I've had with COD 4 since it came out. So, that's good. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. What have you guys been playing?
Sure. Let's see. Last weekend I wrapped up The Order 1886.
Sweet.
That was really good. All my games are they're never new and fresh. So, I have I have the famous backlog, and so yeah. But The Order was great graphics. The story was okay. I mean, who couldn't have seen that there was a guy with the name Lucan that wasn't a werewolf? I mean, come on. But
yeah, we're both big fans of The Order.
Oh yeah,
it's underrated.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Then I also finally started up Metal Gear Solid 5, which, what a great intermission there. But I would still be playing that more, but I'm also wrapped up in getting my Doom Platinum trophy. I'm going back and getting that, doing the 100%
nice.
playthrough. God, Doom was, I don't want to say underrated, but it couldn't have been even more highly rated. I enjoyed every aspect of that game.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, no, I love Doom. And actually, it kind of has, the same type of really fast-paced, run-around like a maniac type of combat that Shadow Warrior has.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant to ask you about that. I have that. I've played, probably 10, 15 minutes of Shadow Warrior, and I thought that was pretty good, too.
Yeah, it's real cool. one complaint I would have about it is it seemingly gets repetitive, for a little while, but I still have a good amount to play, so maybe there'll be a change.
Well, I think it's a fairly old game, and the one that's on PS4 is a remastered version of it. I could be mistaken, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll check out Fortnite when that comes out for free, for sure. It's like a third-person shooter, right? Or something like that?
$6, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, that's the tops. Oh yeah. Oh no Vita for me. No. Yeah, I can see how you're wondering why you didn't ask if I was doing more. Since I got Final Fantasy 12 when that came out a few weeks ago, I played it for like, I want to say almost 40 hours that first
like
week,
I saw a trailer.
and I've
You
been like
talked
really
about it
taking a
last
step
week.
back
I had
since then, just
not the
because I
slightest
burned
idea
myself
of what
out
it
on it.
was.
I played so much so fast.
Then I looked it up,
Yep.
and I was actually pretty surprised
how you
that it
feel.
actually looks pretty interesting.
I didn't do something similar. I'm not quite burned down on it, but I did play quite a bit of it when it first came out.
I think all I have left to do would be like the final like grinding, like getting the levels up, doing the 100 trials, and like the last high level.
Hellblade.
I did everything but those.
Yeah, I'll just go into what I've been playing since we already started talking about it. Yep,
hope so.
I've been playing a little Final Fantasy 12.
I
on and off.
pre-ordered
I'm
it,
about
and
halfway through the game actually.
We'll be able to preload it. So, but I plan on playing it at
Taking my
midnight,
time,
and
just because there's another Final
I hope it's
Fantasy
good,
that takes up a
'cause I
lot more of my
definitely-
time. Still playing Final Fantasy
I already
14
pre-ordered it, so
quite a
it's
bit.
like, yep, I'm already in on that shit. Can't go back.
Still
'cause
also
you know
playing
how
quite a
Sony
bit
is
of
with
Splatoon on
refunds
Switch.
on pre-orders, but
Yeah, you've been talking about Splatoon a lot recently.
yeah, I've been looking forward to
I'm
it
a
ever
big
since it
fan
was
of
announced,
Splatoon.
and
It's-
like all the
It's
development
fun. It's
diaries they've
frenetic,
done. Like it
it's
seems like they're really
silly,
passionate
it's
about
dumb.
making the game. So hopefully the results are
it.
good.
You know, matches take
And,
3 minutes,
I
so
haven't played
it
a ton
takes
of
very
Ninja
little
Theory's
time
games in the
commitment
past.
out
I've
of your
played a
day.
little bit
that's
of
nice.
Enslaved, but
Yeah.
what I did play, I liked.
That's really nice.
And from what I hear, they're a good developer, and like they've always been good with like
yeah.
that kind of
I mean,
melee
you
combat
can-
action game.
It depends on who you
And
group
I
with.
definitely like the fact that this is a very
If you
story-based game.
pick
and
the same group
also
and then go back in,
gorgeous looking.
then
Like,
you know it's
it seems like the
generally
graphics
speaking,
are going to
doesn't
be
take too
awesome,
long
but
if
like
someone-
even just the dynamic
If for
theme
some-
that I got
every
from
once in a while, I think it's
on
an
my
internet
PS4, it
thing
looks pretty
because
incredible. Like,
innately
it's just
the
a
Switch
dynamic
is
theme, so,
wireless only. Sometimes
hopefully that
you get
translates
one
to the game
person that
itself
just
as
seems
well,
to
but-
drop out, or there's one space that the Switch searches forever and can't find it. So usually you find a new person or a couple people in about 15 seconds. If it takes longer than that, then there's a good chance something bugged out and you're better off just, I don't know, messing with the internet for just a second to get yourself kicked and go back into a match. But generally it takes like at most 30 seconds to get back into another match.
Oh, that's good.
So not too bad. What else have I been playing?
Vita.
No, unfortunately, no. I told you.
Dying.
Well,
It's dying.
I've mentioned it before. Ever since I got a Switch, it feels like
Yeah.
it's almost pointless to play a Vita because the Switch is just a better version of it without trophies. But I have been playing a little bit of Tekken 7. I bought it a little while ago. I was feeling a fighting game itch. Found it cheap. Got it. So I've been playing a little bit of that. Still some Danganronpa as well on PS4, that collection. And a little bit of Fortnite. I caved and got that. And I don't regret it in the slightest bit.
I don't blame you. Epic
Nice.
Games puts out good games.
Yeah, so that's it for me.
Sweet. Yeah, and I don't know, like, I forgot to mention one game, Dead Core, which I don't know if I was actually complaining on the podcast about it not having an invert Y-axis option. Well, they patched it, like, literally that night that we did the podcast, so I've been playing that too. And also finally got UFC 2 as well, but I haven't played much of it just because, yeah, been busy. But our news stories this week is, well, first one is PS4 has reached 63 million shipped or sold or something. Either way, it's a good number. I think they said something like 3 million plus in the last quarter, which seems like a good amount for, you know, the beginning of the year, and considering there hasn't been a ton of games that have released, well, other than Horizon and Neo, and so actually, yeah, earlier this year there was a ton of games, but
And Persona.
past couple of months, oh yeah, that of course. So maybe
Friday
there has
the
been a lot of
13th.
games released in that quarter. I just forget them because it's months ago and my memory only lasts 1 week. But other story is, well, actually, Brian, why don't you take away that one?
Yeah, it's that Dragon Quest XI has shipped 2 million total units in Japan, about evenly split between 3DS and PS4, with a Switch version still coming. So that's, I mean, it's not super surprising in the 3DS space, but altogether, I mean, that's pretty amazing for a game in Japan to sell 2 million units in a week, in less than a week.
How many people do you think double dipped into the 3DS and the PlayStation versions?
That's a good question. I don't think Japan tracks digital sales either. At least, I mean, most of the tracking data doesn't include digital sales in Japan. And there's also a special edition that came with both the PS4 and 3DS version. I don't know if that counts as one or the other or both. So it's unknown exactly how many. Yeah. But
yeah, I see what you're saying.
But I mean, it's a huge number. Absolutely huge number for that many million of a game to sell in Japan. I mean, that's a very large number for Japan to do all at once immediately. Brian, you had mentioned you played Tekken 7 before, and that just reminded me. Injustice, wasn't that the highest selling game this quarter?
Think so.
Yeah, but I think that was just announced today.
I think so. Yeah, I was very surprised that a fighting game, of all things, was the biggest thing in the quarter. I mean, I guess it has superheroes and stuff, and they're popular, but I'm still surprised that a fighting game was the number one.
Yeah, I mean, I believe the quarter is April, May, June.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing really that... I mean, Persona 4 is a little more niche, or Persona 5 is a little more niche.
It's a shame how how RPGs or JRPGs are so niche now.
Yeah, and then it was also a console exclusive to PS4, whereas Injustice came out on Xbox, and did it come out on PC as well?
I believe it did.
So
I think so.
I guess that kind of makes some sense then when you look at that whole...
I guess when you use logic and math.
Those finally come in handy. Just talking about video game sales. No other reason.
And say one other thing I wrote down. This week, Logan is the 99-cent rent this week. And so if you haven't watched that, watch that this week for $1.
On PlayStation?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I haven't seen it yet, but I will Friday night.
Cool. Yeah, I heard that was good.
Yeah, so that's all I can say. I heard it was good too. Haven't seen it either.
Nice. But okay, our topic this week is early access games. And it's mainly a thing that has been going on PC and Steam for a few years, but now it's starting to come over to consoles as well. I think Xbox One has had it for a little bit longer because at first Sony didn't want it. But now we're definitely seeing more and more of it, like, I think not just with free-to-play games, but also, wasn't Ark Survival Evolved early access when it first came out?
Yeah, I think it still technically is early access.
Yep. The official launch isn't until it got delayed a couple of weeks. It was supposed to be in a week or two, and now it's the end of August. But yeah, technically Ark is still early access for another month.
Yeah, that also seems like the type of game that will be perpetually in early access, pretty much. I mean, they're always going to be adding stuff to it, and hopefully always improving the performance because it's not very good on any system.
That's what I've heard from that's what I've heard from everyone, that the frame rate is garbage, just tons of problems, but it still sold 1 million copies. So what do we know?
And it's 720. It's I think it's the only PS4 game that's 720p besides Neo, but that just has a 720p mode. It's not actually permanently that. So, yeah, that's kind of sad. But I'm sure this frame rate is still better than ABP Reloaded, which is I think it set a record for Digital Foundry for the worst frame rate they've ever tested. Not even joking, they said that literally. But yeah, I think early access can be good and bad. I've had some good experience, but I haven't participated in many of them. The only one I really got in on was Assetto Corsa, which was definitely good. I mean, although it was a little rough at the start, it got much better. Now it's like one of the best racing simulators there is, I think. And also, maybe an example of one that's maybe not gone so great that I've got in on is Black Mesa, which is a remake of Half-Life 1. And it's a very well done remake. The problem is, for the past, I think, 5 or 6 years, it's not been complete. Like, they're still missing the final Zen chapter of the game, and it hasn't been in early access the whole time, but it's definitely taken them an extremely long amount of time to put that in, and we're nearing completion on that. I think they said it was supposed to come out in the end of this year, which probably means sometime next year, but like that's something it's been in early access for a few years, and there's really been no progress other than some like multiplayer stuff, which is not the real reason most people bought Black Mesa, I don't think so. But that's like that's nothing compared to some of the nightmares that have happened on early access. So I don't know, what is your experience with early access? Do either of you guys have any?
Let's see. I've only bought one early access game, and that was Paragon last year. Actually, probably a little over a year ago. I think it came out in April or May, something like that. And I really, really enjoyed Paragon, mainly because when they put it out, it was a majority completed game. It wasn't missing things. It had a wide array of characters. Most of the gameplay was set. They hadn't tweaked out all their balancing and stuff, but they had a fully working. It was a full game. I wasn't being scammed into playing something that was just incomplete and buggy and crashing all the time. So that was worth the $20 or whatever it was. I think the early access is a good thing for all the free-to-play games that come out, because there's a lot of people that play free-to-play games that don't ever buy anything. So, like, it's like, I know they do mean to have a free-to-play game that's always free, and you can play for free if you want. But for the people that did really enjoy the game and know they're going to invest a lot of time into it and they want to, say, get the jump on it like I did, I think spending $20 to get into the game early and just play a game that you think will be fine, I think it's absolutely worth it. And I know that early access gets lots of crap thrown on it, I'd say because of the PC world. Because on Steam, just everything that goes up on the PC, it's a crapshoot. You never know if you're going to get something junky or or incomplete, or maybe it is a good one, but you don't know because there's so much out there. Like the PC world, like it's huge. There's tons of games. It's like Australia. There's no rules out there. Most of it's a wasteland, but there is Australia's a big desert in the center. It's as big as the United States, but there's nothing in the middle, and that's what a lot of PC is. There's a lot of junk. There's a lot of junk out there, and then they have their shining star games out there that make people still PC game. Oh yeah. How are we not talking about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds yet? That's the big that game is still early access on Steam, and it's sold 4 million copies. Everybody plays that game now.
Yeah, that's
it kind of took over where DayZ failed. Like, because I don't know what happened to DayZ, but that was super popular at one point. And from what I've heard, this game, PlayerUnknown, has kind of perfected that formula that a lot of other games have tried to do something with, like H1Z1, I think is another one, which is pretty popular too, but from what I've heard is this PlayerUnknown game is like the best version of that type of game.
Yeah, now that you mentioned one of the failure games like DayZ, one of the things that early access and similar to that, like Kickstarter games, because they can just be built up by the overhype, and that's just another similar way they can get you in, oh, well, we're going to have this, but then they never do. So that's why I think when they release a game like Paragon or Fortnite, both from Epic Games, that are mostly complete, they're not going to leave out entire parts of the game. You're not going to get screwed on those.
And I think the big thing with PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is there wasn't a whole lot of, I don't want to say hype, but there wasn't a lot of people talking about it at first. It was just one of those unknowns on Steam, and then it just started slowly picking up Steam by
word of mouth. Yeah.
No pun intended. But it just got as popular as it did because a couple people played it, and then they really enjoyed it, and then more people played it because of word of mouth, and then streamers got a hold of it and started streaming it, and people saw, hey, this game looks pretty interesting and fun and not as crappy as some of its contemporaries, and gave it a shot, and next thing you know, like you said, it's been downloaded millions of times, and it's its own thing.
Yeah, they call lightning in a bottle. Great for them.
Yeah, too bad more games aren't like that. Or I feel like they also listen to the community. I mean, it was one guy for a long time doing a lot of the developing, but he
really
listened to the
community.
I
guess that's why I'm surprised that it's just the one guy saying that it's PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, but I guess that makes sense.
Well, I think the one guy his name is PlayerUnknown.
Yeah.
That's what's funny. But, I mean, I'm sure the studio is a little bit bigger now to handle all this stuff and updates and stuff like that, but I believe at first it was just one guy or a very, very small team working on the game. And, I mean, yeah. He struck lightning in a bottle. Minecraft was early access lightning in a bottle.
That's true.
I don't want to be a hipster, but I jumped on the Minecraft bandwagon really early. 2011, 2012, when it cost $15 and it didn't have a hunger meter. I played Minecraft really early, and it got better and better as the game, progressed in development. As years went by, it got just huge. It was a huge phenomenon before it even technically was released for real on PS3 and Xbox and PC.
Yeah, it definitely was. Like, it really exploded on PC, and I think that was before it got ported over to Xbox 360. Like, I mean, it's almost like it got ported to consoles because of how big it was on PC, more than anything, I'd say. But like, probably, I don't know if they had plans before then, but I definitely think that encouraged them. And now it's on Switch as well.
Yeah. The arguably best version.
Oh yeah, on phones, yeah, it's just everywhere. It's wildly popular. Just like adults love it, kids really love it. It's gonna be around for a while.
Oh yeah, for sure. And now there's like clones, and there's even like a story mode by Telltale Games behind it, which it's funny, but hey, if it's a good story, who cares what world it's in, right?
Speaking of Telltale Games, I was going to say real quick, I'm glad PS Plus has taken a break from handing out Telltale Games for a few months. I feel like for a few months in a row, we got Game of Thrones and Life is Strange and I don't know, something else. Yeah, Tales, yeah. So it was several months in a row, and I'm like, oh, first of all, I already have most of those. But also, I think they should be changing up their game genres a little bit.
Yeah. Well, actually, Life is Strange isn't Telltale. It's the people who made Remember Me. Don't know. I think it's Square Enix as well. But yeah,
it's
they definitely
similar.
did do a lot so far. And plus, I mean, they've done Walking Dead seasons 1 and 2 before as well. I think there's only a couple Telltale games that they haven't done on PlayStation Plus. I think Wolf Among Us, right? They haven't done that for free, have they? Don't think so, but
it was given to me for free by buying Batman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's odd.
A little bit.
But that'll be one for the future. Batman, they'll probably put that on there.
Probably, yeah. Aren't they already making like Batman Season 2 or whatever it's called? Yeah. I guess that must have been really popular too.
It was good. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
I shouldn't really like shit, but the story itself was really good.
Nice, yeah. Also, I think it kind of relates to early access, but crowdfunding is another thing that's a bit similar, definitely different, but I know of one good example, which would be Project Cars. I mean, it's a game that was developed by the community basically for years and years. I think they got a few $1 million for, early backers and stuff, and it turned out to be awesome. Now they're coming out with a sequel soon, and it was a very, very highly polished game, and that turned out very well. Although for a while it was pretty rough in development, but I guess that's just kind of how a lot of early access works, it seems, especially for racing games where they have to constantly improve the gameplay and physics and stuff. But a bad one I would bring up is Elite Dangerous, because when they first announced it for Kickstarter or whatever, however it was crowdfunded, they said there would be a single-player mode and you'd be able to play it offline. And then somewhere along the line, I think it was actually very close to release, they randomly said, nope, we can't do that, we're not doing that. And that, to me, that's horrible. Because I'm very against always online games, and that's, just, either way, when you're promising something like that early on and then just taking it away, nah, it's not cool, man. So, I'd say that's the dark side of early access is something like that. Fundamentally changing a game like that very close to when it's actually being released. It's kind of crazy that it turned out like that.
We couldn't have done this topic at a better time. We came up with this topic a week ago, and since then, we finally saw the untimely demise of Unsung Story, which is one of the worst failures in Kickstarter history, I would think. This hugely hyped game, if you're unfamiliar with it, was supposed to be the spiritual successor to Final Fantasy Tactics, by the director, the producer of the original Final Fantasy Tactics, and a lot of people were super excited about the game. They thought they were getting a Final Fantasy Tactics successor. After a number of years, of almost no updates, they revealed out of the blue a multiplayer mode, or a PvP mode, which was never discussed previously, that they were working on that. And then they pretty much went dark until very recently, where just this last week they said that they're no longer working on the game.
That's disappointing. Everybody loved Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, that's why it raised $660,000 on Kickstarter, on top of getting funding for it from outside sources. And then they just came up with bullshit after bullshit excuse over the last 4 years before finally saying this last week, we're handing the project off to a different developer.
Was 600,000, was that their, I guess, main goals? I feel like a lot of the big video game success stories I've heard for Kickstarter had they raised 2 million or 1 million. I feel like 600,000, maybe I'm just way off. It seems like it'd be low for a Final Fantasy Tactics. Everybody loved that game.
I think they got, I would have to reread the story. There's a great story on Kotaku about it, and a whole timeline of events surrounding it since its inception in 2013, but I think they were asking for either 500,000 or 600,000, so they well exceeded their goal by getting the 660,000, and still they made up excuses about how they ran out of money, and just the whole project was a mess and was terribly mismanaged. It was definitely one of the darker sides of Kickstarter, which is why I personally just can't support Kickstarter in any
I've
any
never
way, shape,
donated.
or form.
Have either of you guys donated to Kickstarter? I never have.
No.
I haven't, no.
Yeah, I came close to donating for the Toe Jam and Earl one, but because at the time they had the stretch goal for PlayStation 4 was I don't remember the number, but it was the highest one and it wasn't even close, and it was months into the development already, and I was like, well, if they're not gonna make it for the PlayStation 4, I'm not gonna give them $20 and early access it. But then they changed their mind.
Yeah.
But then because there's so many more PlayStations sold, they changed their mind and sold it for that anyway. But that'll probably be a game I get when it comes out. I feel like it comes out this fall. It was advertised a bunch during SGDQ this year. But I'm looking forward to that because I enjoyed playing that game 25 years ago. That was a great game.
Yeah, I mean, I also came close with, I think the game was called Red Mist. It was supposed to be a spiritual successor to Mega Man Legends. but it was done by the same developer concept that did Mighty Number 9, and after seeing how that whole game turned out, and it being delayed for a year or two over stupid reasons, I decided not to. That was the closest I ever came.
Mighty Number 9 was the second closest I ever came to ordering, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait till I see what this game looks like. Which, Mighty Number... yeah, I still got it anyway. Well, like after the fact it was on sale or whatever. But yeah, it's not very good. The level design wasn't very good. The boss battles were really annoying. Yeah, I'm glad I did not give them whatever money early for that. But yeah, but I feel like we're hearing the phrase spiritual successor a lot for these Kickstarters. Which I think, which those are basically buzzwords. Like, do you like Final Fantasy? Well, everyone likes that. Well, you'll like our game that you've never heard of before. So give us your money before we even start working on it.
I mean, I kind of understand it. It is kind of a buzzword, but again, I get it. Where you have a group of developers, a group of developers that form an indie studio who maybe worked on some game, but they can't anymore because of publishers and licensing issues. So they decide to make their own version of the game. I mean, that's how Obsidian made Pillars of Eternity. And that was a huge success. And I don't remember the developer, but that's how Wasteland 2 came about as well. Because Wasteland 1 became Fallout, became its own thing when Bethesda bought the licensing, so that a lot of those devs went back and did Wasteland 2. Those are success stories. Pillars of Eternity is a huge success story.
Wasn't Yooka-Laylee Kickstarter too?
Yeah.
Spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie. It's basically Banjo-Kazooie or Donkey Kong 64 or old 3D rare platformer games, just with a chameleon and a parrot or whatever, or a bat rather.
Yeah, it looks just identical to Banjo-Kazooie. Yep. Yeah, I'm always a budget gamer, so I'm sure I'll grab that whenever it goes on a nice sale for me, and I'll just add it to the collection.
It's pretty good. If you liked Banjo-Kazooie, it's a 2016 version of Banjo-Kazooie. Random squawking for talking as well.
Yeah, another one that is kind of like that spiritual successor type was that game Allison Road that was kind of going to be like PT, which got unceremoniously canceled by Konami. Fuck you, Konami. But, that actually also got canceled. And I think it was crowdfunded as well, so it's a bummer that it had to be canceled. I think. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that one got canceled. If I'm wrong, I apologize to whoever's making that, but not like they're listening. But another one that was actually one of the only games I was thinking about getting in on Kickstarter was this game called Pray for the Gods, which actually was recently in the news, hilariously, because Bethesda kind of threatened to sue them because they had the name Pray in their title.
I remember
because
that.
apparently Pray and Pray for the Gods, that's too similar. So we're going to sue this little indie developer that's crowdfunding to get so that they can't use Pray in their title. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand it. But they changed it to P-R-A-E-Y instead of P-R-E-Y.
Take that,
be the first time Bethesda did something like that.
Really? That's man. To me, that's as ridiculous as back in the day when Trump tried to trademark the phrase "you're fired," as if he created that. Get out of here, dude. But yeah, it's that actually looks like a cool game because, like you guys are saying, it's a spiritual successor kind of to Shadow of the Colossus.
I know this will be sacrilege, but I have not played Shadow of the Colossus yet.
Well, they're doing a little remake that's coming out next year, so...
I know, I'm thinking about... Because I still have PS Now, and it's on PS Now, and I'm considering playing it then, but I said, you know what? Maybe I should just wait for the PS4 version.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
I mean, if you still had a PS3 and didn't want to wait, I mean, it might be worth playing the remaster, but...
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I mean, that's going to be the best version. by far. I mean, the remaster or PS Now would be cool for Eco, though, which I played recently. Still really love it. Although it definitely showed its age, it's still a very cool game. But yeah, that remake I am very much looking forward to. It was my highlight of E3, to be honest, aside from Wolfenstein and stuff. But yeah, back to early access and crowdfunding. Yeah, and the funny thing about that Pray for the Gods one I mentioned, the actual reason why I didn't get in on the crowdfunding was because they closed it down, which I find like a little strange that they only have that stuff open for temporary periods, like, or they hit the goal and then that's it. They don't need any more backers. Like, I could understand like shutting it down maybe like a year before the actual release. You know what I mean? But like, why not take more money during development if it's, a couple years away? Like, it's not like they're taking money out of their own pockets by, having people back them instead of buying the retail version, I guess, like if it's that far out. Although I'm sure they work that financial stuff out themselves. But the other one was Project Cars. Also another one I wanted to get in on the crowdfunding so I could get, early access to the builds that they weren't taking any more people by the time I got a PC that could actually run the game. So, oh well. So none of us have joined in on the crowdfunding then, correct?
Yes, we're all three smart gentlemen.
Yeah, seems like it for sure.
Yeah, because it's really too much of a risk. You've heard of a few good stories, but there's too many bad stories. I mean, you don't want to gamble on a game that doesn't even exist yet. Even buying any game that you haven't played before is a gamble. You never know if you're going to personally like it. So adding just even that extra variable to already give money for a game that doesn't exist, that's not something I want to put my money on. I mean, what'll convince me that a good game is being made is a publisher giving a developer money to continue making their good game. Like that's what. Yeah, if they're going to shell the big bucks out for say make this game, you showed it to us, it looks really good. Here, now you can make it look really good, and that matters to me. I mean that's still not a guarantee, but that has a bigger impact on me, reducing the risk of buying a game that I won't like. True.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense, like, because a lot of times if there really was, like, a great game idea, they probably would back it as far as the publishers. But then there are times where they won't, and, like, that's usually where we see the success stories with crowdfunding and early access. But, yeah, there's a ton that have not ended up like that, like you said, so it's definitely a risk for everybody involved, really.
Yeah, because there's plenty of times when the games don't even get finished.
I think while that does happen and it's always a risk, there's certain instances where there's less of a risk. I've seen Obsidian with Pillars of Eternity. I mean, Obsidian is a pretty major developer. It's not Activision, but I mean, everyone who played The Stick of Truth loves The Stick of Truth. Everyone who played KOTOR 2 or any of the other well-loved Obsidian games loves those games. So they were better off crowdfunding and going to Kickstarter because they were a trusted developer and they were able to deliver on the game that they promised they would make. Arguably, the same thing happened with Yooka-Laylee, with a lot of, I mean, it was a new developer, but old, rare employees and developers came and joined that studio to make Yooka-Laylee. And while maybe it turned out a little too much like Banjo-Kazooie, it's still a great game. And, I mean, still a great Banjo-Kazooie-like game. Take that how you will.
Collectathon.
Yeah, it's a huge collectathon, that's for sure. Those are the success stories, and those are maybe not more trustworthy, but have less risk associated with them. I've come to see that even trusting individuals isn't always a good idea. I mean, people came out in droves to support Inafune with Mighty Number 9, and that didn't turn out very well for any number of reasons. Probably why people were hesitant about Red Mist, or I think that's the name of it. I can't really remember. On top of just weird things that he was doing, I think that's why there's some trepidation with Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which is the Castlevania spiritual successor being done by Igarashi, who did all the Castlevania games before Konami stopped making good games.
Well, they barely even make games anymore. I remember reading a report. They're pretty much doing Metal Gear Survive, that soccer game, and then they're like focusing on mobile games. Good for you, Konami. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. They can go to hell. But, I mean, I'd say, like, a game that is most likely going to succeed with crowdfunding is definitely Shenmue 3. I can't see why it wouldn't. It seems like they're well on their way, right? But, plus, it doesn't hurt being shown at E3 on Sony's stage.
Not to mention the fact that it is being funded by Sony as well at the same time.
As crowdfunding, yeah.
As what they were able to get through Kickstarter, yeah.
Yeah. See, so that's like a good thing. Like, when you have publisher and crowdfunding backing, then it's like, it makes sense that it'll probably succeed. It's just when it doesn't that it's a risk. Because what does happen a lot of times with early access on Steam, too, is games just slowing down progress for whatever reason. Like, I have a few, actually, that I forgot to mention that, like, have slowed practically to a standstill as far as, like, development. And some other games I was looking into as well, but decided not to because how much they had slowed down development. But this game that's actually similar to Yooka-Laylee, it's old Studio Liverpool developers, the creators of Wipeout. So it's developers from them that are making a game like that called Formula Fusion, and it's going pretty slowly. And it's been in early access for like 3 or 4 years, and they were supposed to, they were thinking about PS4 release years ago. It was supposed to be out by now on PS4, and it's going kind of slow on PC. And then same with another one, Road Redemption, which is kind of like modern Road Rash, and it's an incredible game, and they have made a ton of progress on PC, but as far as the PS4 version, it seems like it's a pretty long way from now. Although they had a release date early in January. And remember it got announced on PlayStation Plus, and I was like, wait, what? And then I asked the developers, they're like, oh no, yeah, we're not even close. I'm not and it was funny just because they still had that release date out there, but no, they're not even close to being done. But that's a fantastic game, so if anyone liked Road Rash, I recommend it. But it's definitely early access often takes a lot more time than they plan. That's another issue with it, I'd say.
I'm not sure if I would say that the early access games get delayed more, because regular
success they have, yeah.
Because regular studio games get plenty of delays too. I think just because the programming for all the games is so much harder now, they just take a lot longer, and they think in their mind that it'll take 2 years to get their game done, and then they're wrong. I mean, I'd rather a crowdfunded game get delayed because they're on their own time schedule. But if you're some big studio, Square Enix, whatever, don't say it's going to come out this year and then it comes out a full year later. I mean, you're a big company. You should have a big plan. You said we're going to
Final Fantasy VII.
You said we were going to have Gran Turismo last Christmas. Now we have to wait a full year for Gran Turismo. I think they should be strategically planning better. I mean, I can't imagine they were completely blindsided by a full year of development before a game comes out. I mean, they had to have known that they were going to be missing a year. With that
one, I think it was once they missed the holidays, basically, they were just you know what, let's just take more time and put more into the game. That's how Polyphony Digital kind of works.
Yeah, I can believe that. I can believe that for them because they make just the one game. They can do whatever they want, basically.
Yeah, and they never stop developing either. They're even after they release Gran Turismo Sport, they're still going to be adding stuff on. It's not like they're going to just switch right on to whatever game they're going to make next. They'll be continuing. So it's because I don't know. That's just kind of how Kaz is the creator and director there. Like he just constantly wants to do more and more and more, which ends up being what ends up delaying their games a lot of times. I think it's just that he's too, I don't know, obsessive, if that's the right word or what. But yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of games that are getting delayed like crazy, and that's just like kind of been the story for this gen. Except for like some, like there have been some that like totally released on time or like, you know, came out excellent. Like Horizon, Guerrilla Games has done 2 games this gen that were amazing even on day one. Sucker Punch, I don't know what they're doing now, but they released pretty early and the game was really well polished. I mean, it's not everyone's favorite game in the Infamous series, but still an excellent game. And Naughty Dog, they've only put out 1 game so far and 1.5 within a month, but they're still going. It's just like some of these other developers, like Detroit, or Quantic Dream. They're taking their time. Santa Monica's kind of taking their time, and then Days Gone, Studio Bend, there's definitely a lot of slow development this generation.
Yeah, really, the end result, if they make a good game, you can be a little upset about the delay, but if they put out a good game, it's worth the wait.
Yeah, I forget who said it, but it was like, a delay is something people only remember for a little while, but a bad game is something they remember forever. I might have messed up the wording, but basically they're saying it's better to delay a game than to put out a game that people will always remember for its terrible launch. You know what I mean? Like, because there are people out there that still think that Drive Club was like a bad racing game, and it couldn't be further from the truth. But like that's what happens when you have delays and then bad PR at launch and stuff like that. And who was it?
Miyamoto.
Yeah, and he's right, because they did delay Zelda Breath of the Wild for a long time. I think that was the game he was talking about, correct?
I don't think so. I think he said this years and years ago.
Or maybe he was talking about Star Fox. I thought it was like within this generation, but maybe Star Fox didn't turn out incredible, but Breath of the Wild did. So,
well, most Zelda games have been delayed quite a bit. Ever
Makes
since
sense. Very important franchise for them.
Yeah, Nintendo.
Skyward Sword was delayed. Twilight Princess was delayed. Breath of the Wild was delayed.
Yeah, Nintendo's all first party. They don't care when their games come out. They know people are going to wait for them, and then the same people are going to buy them every time because they make the really, really good first party games.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, when you talked about Drive Club and their not so good launch, that also reminded me of Destiny's launch. Did you guys happen to play Destiny like day one before any expansions? Yeah. I feel so bad for you because there had to have been nothing in that game. I got it it had Taken King time. That game must have been so bare bones. There couldn't have been very much to do for that.
Which might partly explain why I hate Destiny.
Yeah, that'll do it. I got it at Taken King time, and there was plenty of stuff to do, and I had a really good time with Destiny. But I can't imagine how everyone could have felt burned when they bought it day one, bought their play.
Oh, we were burned badly. And for me though, it wasn't necessarily just the ridiculous lack of content. It was mainly just the incredibly grindy nature of it. Because just to get to the level you need to be to do the Vault of Glass raid took so much repeating of strikes and stuff like that. And you were also relying on random drops, which in the beginning were horrible, which is why they patched them to make them better. But then, of course, they also fixed exploits, which made things easier for people. Of course, they got to fix that, but there's a number of reasons I don't like Destiny. Combat is solid. It's just way too repetitive for me, and the multiplayer became way too imbalanced. At the beginning, it was fun, but once everyone else had those little shields from sprinting, and I didn't, it ruined the game.
Well, it's kind of the nature of most MMOs in general. They're kind of inherently early access type games. when you have a new MMO come out, then of course it's going to be bare. I mean, Destiny was probably a little more bare bones than most, but
Much.
I mean, for someone who played a lot of World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14 during it when it was still 1.0, I understand that the grindiness and the lack of content is kind of, it doesn't make it inexcusable, but it's not uncommon.
Yeah. Which is why if I hear MMO, I'm probably going to avoid it in the future.
Yeah. I'm not too big of an MMO guy myself. Usually I'm not playing a game for more than just a few weeks at a time.
Yeah.
Because even...
Same here. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I have trouble with games like Fallout, which are, I mean, awesome. Love it. But it's like, it's 100 hours plus depending on how you play it. And, like, I have trouble with those, let alone MMOs where you got to put quite a bit more time than that into them. Right, Brian?
Like, I haven't checked it in a while, but I haven't checked it in a while because I just haven't logged on to World of Warcraft. But last time I checked, I had my playtime was in the year and month range.
Wow.
Like, well, over the course of
10
14 years.
It's been for 14 years now?
13. Came out in 2004. You kind of, get those hours built up. I mean, I'm not talking about I have years and years playtime built up, but it was somewhere in the realm of 400-ish days.
Damn.
And I don't know if I can check playtime in Final Fantasy or how far back it stretches, since a lot of the stuff was kind of wiped between 1.0 and 2.0. But I have quite a bit of time invested in Final Fantasy 14 as well.
Yeah, that'd be a great feature that if they added to PlayStation 2 where you could see how long you've played any game. Like, I would love to see how much...
Yeah, like on Steam?
Yeah, like Steam has like tons of other games and systems have. I would love to know how many hours I put into Destiny at the end of whatever year I got it, 2015.
Yeah, does
Yeah, I'd love to have
Switch
that
has
feature.
it, right?
I think so, yeah.
They have a very generic... You've played a game for 40 or more hours. They do it in increments of 5. So I have about 120-ish hours on Breath of the Wild, for example.
Damn.
Oh. I have 47 days played on Final Fantasy 14.
That's nothing.
Wow. That's a lot for me.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's not much for him, though. Not much for him, Brian.
Like, I know, like, even the Call of Duty games I've
Less than
played
I
the most, I
expected.
think I'm only at, like, 4 days, I think.
Well, I've
Same
also
with
been
Killzone Shadowfall.
I've been playing Final Fantasy 14 since, if you want to include 1.0, like 2011.
2014? Oh, okay. True
2000,
that, yeah.
No. Maybe 2012.
Plus, shooters are,
11.
hop on, hop off type of thing, not like, like I can imagine, like, in something like Final Fantasy 14, you probably will get lost for a few hours at a time, right? Like, just playing.
Or days.
Yeah.
That's also a possibility.
I mean, that can happen for me with, like, Fallout 4, too, so... But that's enough for me. Like, like even Metal Gear Solid 5, like, I lost, like, 2 weeks of my life, or more, just playing that nonstop. I couldn't put it down or take it out of my PS4. And, like, typically that's just not the way I play games. Like, I'm like a play for an hour, move on type of dude. Because, ADD is always running overdrive, so,
Yeah, but
MMO doesn't seem like my genre, but like it seems like one that's very steeped in the early access kind of type of development.
It is and it isn't. I mean, the initial push of an MMO is just so massive because you have servers to worry about, you have the leveling content, the item drops, the skill trees. You have to build the game, and then from then on, when you release new expansions, in Destiny's case, like the Taken King and then Rise of Iron. In World of Warcraft's case, Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, etc., up until Legion. In Final Fantasy's case, you have Aroma Born, and then Heaven's Ward and Stormblood. I know I just spouted a whole bunch of shit that none of you probably understand too well, but
I recognize a couple of those names.
Yeah, those are substantial leaps in content, whereas the base games are all about building up the systems in the first place. So, again, coming from someone who's been playing a lot of these games since the early 2000s, I kind of get it. And I'm more... you could... I don't necessarily want to say that it's a good thing or that it's excusable, but it's just something I've come to expect. And I don't really necessarily have a problem with it. I realize that when a new MMO type of game launches, it may be a little bare bones at first and it'll be built upon. Destiny was probably a little lacking. I still loved it and played the shit out of it. But then you end up with games like Wrath of the Lich King for World of Warcraft, which was the peak in that game. It had like 12 million concurrent players. That was unbelievable. Or the amount of popularity and a love that Final Fantasy XIV currently has with its most recent expansion. It was, everything they've been doing has been so good ever since they redid 1.0. So you when you get an MMO, which I'm sure is the same with early access, you may overlook what's there in the beginning, expecting that there's going to be a much better, much deeper, much more fulfilling game at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah,
I
guess
don't know
just
if it's
like another
Stockholm
one of the
syndrome
issues
or what.
with Destiny was just the prices of each expansion. Like the first two were 20, then Taken King was 40. But if you just waited a year to when the Taken King out, you could just get all of them together for like 60 and then wait a little bit more, then even less. But if you went day one and bought every expansion on day one as well, I think it ended up being like, what was it, 180 total or something like that with Destiny?
I think it was 180. Yeah, and the game wasn't even it was not a full game's worth of content until the Taken King. So if you bought it before then,
yeah,
they
even admitted that. Bungie even said that originally the Taken King, everything up to that point was supposed to be included in the game day one. Because
two of those expansions, like the Wolves one, that was a very small expansion that had to do with the Fallen. That had like nothing. That added nothing to the game.
Yeah, that was the equivalent of a content patch that should have been free. I will be the first to admit that was, coming from an MMO background, that was crap. It should have been a free update. It shouldn't have cost any money, let alone $20. The Dark Below was even worse.
At least that added a raid for something post-game.
Well, the original had the Vault of Glass.
It added but it added a second raid. Having just one raid
the barrier for entry to the Vault of Glass was very, very high. Not only did you have to actually find 6 friends to do it with, you couldn't just do matchmaking, and I'm not sure you would want to because it's supposedly a very difficult thing. But also, like I said, you have to get your I don't know what it was, your light level to like level 27 or 28 or something, and it caps out at 20s, and then just anything after that is just like you have to find certain types of gear with light leveling. I don't know exactly how it worked, but basically you had to just keep grinding those strike missions over and over, and that's when I gave up on the game. It's just because I didn't want to keep playing those same strike missions again, and it sucks because supposedly the Vault of Glass, especially early on before they put out the Taken King, that was the highlight of Destiny, and I never got to experience it. And it's I don't know, whatever, Bungie. I really, now I kind of regret you guys not just staying Xbox exclusive, because I love the Halo games they make, and not a fan of Destiny, so it's like, I don't know. They used to be much better, and that's what Activision does to people now. They corrupt everything.
We'll call it Stockholm Syndrome, but some of that is just still familiar to me and what it means to play an MMO. So I'm less annoyed by it. I'm more understanding about it. It's just kind of the treadmill of an MMO.
See, I didn't mind the Destiny grind. Like I played it at Taken King time. I think the light cap was 320, and I grinded up to like 317. And like I did the King's Fall raid, but like once I've like done that end raid quest, I'm like, oh, I did it all. I don't like doing the end raid, the end game things. No, once I've done it once, I'm like, I'm good. I beat Destiny.
Yeah, well that was like the problem for me, because like that's how I felt about the strike missions. Like I felt like once I did all the story missions and then the side strikes and stuff, like I felt like I've played the game, and to see that like I would have to keep playing those over and over again to get to where I want. Like, because early on, before the first expansion, I'm talking, like, because that's when I mistakenly got the game. That's like kind of the story it was, and it was just way beyond what I was willing to do. But either way, like even if it was the Taken King on day one, I totally prefer Halo. Like I really liked their single player games, the whole Halo series that they did. Not including the games that they didn't do, like 343 did, because I actually haven't played those yet. But
you're not missing much.
Yeah, from what I hear, like even the biggest Halo fans I know all say that Halo 4 and 5 are bad, which just sucks because I really enjoyed their sci-fi lore that's going on in the Halo universe. I mean, there's so much going on there. I don't know. Plus, they were super fun to play, even the first one.
Yeah, everyone loved that first Halo. That was such a big deal. That's why people buy the Xbox. Or bought it back 15 years ago, because Halo was really, really good.
Yep. Yes, and of course multiplayer too. Like multiplayer is massive. But yeah, it's a shame. Like, but yeah, I don't know. You guys got anything else to add?
How do you feel about? We could talk real quick about some of these early access games that will end up being free to play, but cost money for the Founders Packs. Like I believe you mentioned Jordash,
Tomorrow
Paragon.
Children. Paragon.
Fortnite.
Oh, Paladins. That's another one.
Let's see.
Yeah, how do you feel about those?
I'm completely fine with it. The early access thing, I know it's for a free-to-play game, and you could say, oh, well, you could just wait 6 months and play it for free. Yeah, well, I want to play it now. I had a lot of fun in Paragon playing while they were doing a lot of different balancing things. In the first like month or two of the game, they had it so like we've all played MOBAs, like the jungle little creeps. They gave like full XP and money to everyone that was around. So if you wanted to have like the best, that's super broken. So if you wanted to get 5 people, get them on mic together, and you would just like roam the jungle, all 5 of you, and then you would just, the game would be over in 15 minutes. You go from left lane, do the jungle, kill the guy in the center, do the jungle, kill the guy in the right lane, and just cycle back and forth and just murder everyone, because you get so much money and so much experience. And then eventually they patched out the death ball strat, was what it was called. And also it gives you a few like whatever skins, and in Paragon they have I think like the master quest, so you can level your guy up to 10 and get something else. I don't know. I haven't played in a while, but yeah, they give you a few things. And the early access, you could wait 6 months to get it for free, but sometimes you don't want to wait 6 months. Yeah, get ahead on your friends and then beat them. And get ahead on your friends and then beat them when they start playing.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like for all games on early access, it's kind of like that. It's like you're pretty much paying to get access ahead of other time. Although, like, for free-to-play games, it will be free at some point. Like, if you want to play it early, like, $20 I don't think is that unreasonable at all. So, like, I agree with you on that. Also, speaking of Paragon, I highly, highly recommend the free Paragon dynamic theme that's on the PlayStation Store. It's pretty awesome. So you guys should check that out.
They have a dynamic theme for it now? I remember when it came out, they
Yeah.
had just like a static one, and it was blah.
No, it's a dynamic one, and it's really, really good looking. And it's free. So, like, yeah, like, I think it's okay. Like, as long as they're not, like, jacking up the price, like, too high or anything like that. But I think, like, the $20 that most of them have done for the Founders Pack, I think is fine.
What about 40 to 150?
No thanks.
Yeah, I agree.
Fortnite's cheapest option is $40.
Really?
And that's going to be free to play?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm Googling that in the store right now. That is pricey.
Seems a little unfair.
Surprisingly, I still paid it. It's quite a... I didn't really have a problem with it. The game is quite complete already and pretty good. So you get a lot more out of it, and like you said, you get... I think for specifically the Founders Packs, you get some stuff that are Founders only, and
You probably get some
stuff,
Fortnite bucks and stuff like that.
yeah, stuff like that. I mean, it's not the biggest deal. It's more expensive than something like... I also bought the Founders Pack, one of the Founders Packs, the cheapest one, for Marvel Heroes Omega, which was, Diablo meets...
Oh,
Diablo meets, what are they
that
called?
game is
Marvel?
That game is like Diablo. I thought it was like more generic MMO. I might have to look into that.
No, I think Diablo meets Marvel Heroes. And I paid $20 to play it early, and I got a couple characters for free.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, it's very free to play in the sense that you have to grind a lot or pay real life money and a good amount of it to get some of the heroes unlocked. You get one or two free ones, but I didn't mind paying $20 for that. Fortnite being 40, well, I was hesitant, but the game is surprisingly good and deep. And like you said, I didn't feel like waiting until 2018.
Yeah, because Epic Games, you can rely on them they're going to put out a quality thing. So yeah, I didn't feel bad about giving $20 early to play their game because they make good games that are complete. And yeah, you did exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I think also I got a special hero by doing that too. I mean, if you are lucky enough to find someone who paid the $150 one, that actually comes with 2 free copies of the game to give out to friends. So I mean, it's a little more understandable why that costs a small fortune.
Well, Hugo, I think we can nominate you for that. I think that would be the best choice.
It's a good game though, really is.
Yeah, I mean, I'll check out Fortnite when that comes out for free, for sure. Like, it's like a third-person shooter, right? Or something like that?
Third-person shooter, very... I don't want to say Borderlands, but kind of Borderlands type of guns where they're just so random and crazy with weird combinations, like a laser shotgun sort of deal. And then you craft and build a base around the objective with a bunch of traps and stuff like that, and then start the mission, and it's like Plants vs. Zombies horde mode or tower defense type of thing where you just fight off waves of zombies.
Oh yeah, that's
or zombie-like things.
There's like a bunch of like creation and building going on in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I saw a trailer because you talked about it last week. I had not the slightest idea of what it was. Then I looked it up, and I was actually pretty surprised that it actually looks pretty interesting.
Yeah. It is. I really don't regret paying $40 to play it.
Yeah,
Sweet.
That's a good game. Is there any games, the new releases that'll be next week? I see the hot releases. There's Hellblade and Lawbreakers. Hellblade is, yeah, I've heard a lot of buzz on the site about Hellblade being just super great. Are any of you guys picking that up right away?
So.
Or
Yeah, I pre-ordered it, and hopefully we'll be able to preload it soon. But I plan on playing it at midnight, and yeah, I hope it's good, because I definitely already pre-ordered it, so it's like, yep, I'm already in on that ship. Can't go back, because you know how Sony is with refunds on pre-orders, but yeah, I've been looking forward to it ever since it was announced, and like all the development diaries they've done, like it seems like they're really passionate about making the game, so hopefully the results are good. And I haven't played a ton of Ninja Theory's games in the past. I've played a little bit of Enslaved, but what I did play I liked, and from what I hear they're a good developer, and like they've always been good with like that kind of melee combat action game, and I definitely like the fact that this is a very story based game, and also gorgeous looking. Like it seems like the graphics are going to be awesome, but like even just the dynamic theme that I got for pre-ordering on my PS4, it looks pretty incredible. Like, and it's just a dynamic theme, so hopefully that translates to the game itself as well. But
yeah, there's also Lawbreakers. Did either of you guys play the beta over the weekend?
I didn't. I would have tried it just because I'll try anything, but I kind of like I didn't know until it was like over, basically.
Yeah, I played like half of one game. I really didn't like kind of like how the movement was. I don't know. I just didn't.
Yeah.
I just didn't get it. I was not smart enough for Lawbreakers.
I don't think I would either. Like, I'm not a fan of like the jetpacky type.
The jetpack like felt with whatever character I used, it felt like the most like rigid jetpack you could ever imagine. It was weird. Like I just went in one straight line. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, like
I did not
also I'm also
but
not a fan of like the class-based type shooters like Team Fortress 2, Overwatch. Really not a fan at all.
Yeah, Overwatch game of the year. Yeah.
Crazy. It's really Uncharted 4, but whatever. We'll let them get out with it.
Yeah.
They got it right.
Nope. It's not a popularity contest. But I don't know. You guys have anything else to add, or?
I think I'm tapped out.
Brian?
Yeah,
Tapping out?
I think that's about it.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We will talk to you next time.